At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. We believe that every sport should be epic. Every home run, every hit, every inning, every play. From the moments that are legendary to the ones that fly under the radar. Whether it's a walk-off grand slam or a base hit to center field. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Virginia. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. We believe that every sport should be epic. Every home run, every hit, every inning, every play. From the moments that are legendary to the ones that fly under the radar. See for yourself when you sign up today and get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Virginia. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello and welcome to the Paddock and the Pavilion for the first of our two Royal Ascot shows. Joining us for our opening show is young Aussie trainer Henry Dwyer, who is hoping to strike Group 1 gold with his 5-year-old mare Asfoora in the King Charles III Stakes, formerly the King's Stand Stakes, at the Royal Meeting. I caught up with Henry from his base in Newmarket just a few days before the race. Welcome to the Paddock and the Pavilion, Henry.
Thank you for having me, Stephen. Good to be here.
How are you? Your website says that you're enjoying lots of barbecues at Newmarket.
It's barbecues and other things. There's a lot of eating and drinking that goes on. It's all par for the course, though. The European summer, I suppose. Supposed summer, everyone's out of hibernation, and I'm training one horse, so I've got about an hour to fill in my day every morning, and then I've got to find activities which generally revolve around eating and drinking.
Firstly, how is the mare?
Mare is good. She has been here probably 2 months now. She was here about a month before Paddock. We just needed to get out of, I know everyone says Newmarket's cold, winter and the rest of it, but Ballarat, where we're from, is pretty Arctic. So I just didn't want to miss the boat re the change of seasons, and we just tried to pick the right time that was going to be similar temperatures and daylight hours here to there, just so it was a pretty seamless transition. Otherwise, we would have grown a winter coat and got here and been a bit hot and sweaty and the rest of it. So just thought we'd get here early, give ourselves a bit of time, margin for error if there was going to be any issues, and we haven't had them, thankfully. So she's gone right through, good preparation. Needed to run first up at Haydock, blew out pretty badly, but only got beaten 2.5 lengths, which is encouraging, and I feel there's a bit of improvement to come.
And you've got Oisin Murphy now riding the horse. Has he been riding out as well?
He galloped her on Tuesday morning. She had a gallop on the grass gallops there at the Cambridge Road sort of setup, and he was quite impressed with her. He gave her a nice gallop. She squared it up in about, it's probably not very English to be clocking them, but she ran up in about 21.8, 22, something like that. Very much on the bridle. She's quite sharp and she can do that. Just the stamina's always been a little bit of a question mark with her. Hence, she's a good 5 furlong horse, but not a good 6 furlong horse.
Impressed with the facilities at Newmarket?
Oh, hard not to be. It's paradise for a horse trainer. In your facilities to train a horse, grass is the all-important aspect when training horses, and there's just no end of grass here, which we struggle with in Australia. We mainly train on race courses, and we have a bit of a scarcity of land, surprisingly enough, for such a big country. But access to grass in Australia is limited, whereas here you just walk out and you're working on grass tracks that haven't had a hoof on them for 4 years. So can't be too sceptical about that. We're staying with Amy Murphy, who has a lovely setup there on the Hamilton Road, and she's been more than accommodating, so that's been great. And just the vibe around town is just the other thing. I've never experienced being in a place where so many people, or the majority of people, are, have something to do with racing, and just all the talk is about racing, which is just heaven for a racing fan like myself.
The horse really is king in Newmarket.
Oh, no doubt. Everything comes second to the horse, and as I said earlier, just having one horse, it's a luxurious lifestyle. It really is. It's a luxury.
I've been looking up, how did the owners come up with the name? Because it says on Google, where we all look, that it makes you expressive, versatile, generous, and you long for a change, travel, and new experiences, which is just what's happening next week.
Well, that is ironic because that's actually nothing to do with the name. That might be a different language thing, but in Arabic, Asfoora means little bird. So the owner, Mr. Al Fakri, named her, and the horse maketh the name, they say. So it probably wouldn't have mattered what he named her. She would have been a good horse.
Oh, well, I got caught out there, but it certainly says that on Google. So it certainly matches what's happening next week.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. I'll use that.
Just a little bit about yourself. You said you're training in Ballarat. How long have you been training? And I think you've been to the UK before.
Yeah, I've been in the UK a fair few times, not with horses, just travelling and a little bit of sort of work here and there. But I started training 10 years ago, so I'm 40 years old now. So I worked for other people for between the ages of 20 and 30. Got my license when I was probably 29 or 30, and then went ahead with it. So I had a tremendous amount of luck early in my career when I first started. I only had a very small team, and I ended up getting a cast off from Godolphin called Sontag, who won a Queensland Derby, which is one of our premier staying 3-year-old races, a Group 1. Not long after that, I had a mare who won a Robert Sangster Stakes in Adelaide, which is a good Group 1 weight for age mares race. So I got to 12 months into my career and thought, how easy is this? And the good times just keep rolling. And after that, obviously, the law of averages hit, and I didn't have a Group 1 winner for until now, really. So Asfoora has been very close on a number of occasions. She's run some really good seconds in Group 1s and obviously won plenty of Group 2s and Group 3s, but haven't been able to crack it for a while. So a Group 1 would be great, but let alone a Group 1 overseas.
At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. We believe that every sport should be epic. Every home run, every hit, every inning, every play. From the moments that are legendary to the ones that fly under the radar. See for yourself when you sign up today and get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Virginia. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. We believe that every sport should be epic. Every home run, every hit, every inning, every play. From the moments that are legendary to the ones that fly under the radar. See for yourself when you sign up today and get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Virginia. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply.
When then did you decide to bring the mare come over to the UK?
Oh, look, she got to the stage of, she was very lightly raced early. She never raced till a mid 3-year-old, but we got to a stage and we identified pretty early, about after she'd had 9 or 10 starts, that she was very dynamic over what we call 1,000 and 1,100 metres in Australia, but just I never thought she'd really be competitive over 1,200. She just struggles to see it out. And unfortunately in Australia, we've only got 3 Group 1 options over 1,000 or 1,100, or all our good sprints. There's probably 15, 1,200 metre Group 1 race in the country, but only 3,000 or 1,100 metre ones. So we had to do something because she was never going to get to the top level if we didn't travel a bit. And so we put her on a path. She went to the Galaxy in Sydney, which is a Group 1 handicap, and she ran 4th, but she was terribly unlucky. Probably should have won that day. And off the back of that, we went to Perth, which is a flight away. It's a 4-hour flight from Sydney for a race you'd find amusingly named the Quokka, which is a native animal to Rottnest Island, which is just off Perth. So it was one of those slot races worth, a few $1 million. And she ran really, really well against a very hot field that day and loomed up like the winner. And just the end of that 1,200 found her out. But what that trip did do for us was convince us that we're happy to travel her, which I wouldn't have been prior to that, just because she's a filly that does, use herself a bit and does get a bit revvy. And but I think the travel is what actually made her. She came back next preparation and she was super all preparation, a lot more settled. And I think even this experience is going to be great for her, and she'll come back more settled after this too.
Because that is quite a big thing, travelling that distance across from Melbourne to the UK.
Yeah, sure. And that's why we gave ourselves a bit of lead time just in case there are issues. I was confident she'd travel well off what she'd done previously, but new environment, more so new training methods and conditions and locations and the rest of it. She didn't miss a beat, thankfully, but we didn't need to give ourselves that extra time. But I think it, helped with the change of hemispheres and seasons, and I think it's just put her on a good leg for the preparation to come.
You mentioned the prep run. Were you happy with the fourth place in the Temple Stakes on the 25th of May?
I was a little bit ho-hum about it. I sort of walked away thinking that's a pass mark, but probably nothing more, nothing less. She loomed up, trucked up, probably a bit keen early. Probably looked the winner at the 150-metre mark, and just the dynamics of Haydock, where you get to the 150 and then you rise quite steeply. It probably unbalanced her a bit, and she was tiring at that stage anyway. And it just, the last 100 was very plain, but it was just a combination of her being undone, the track being a bit wet and making it more of a stiff 1,000-metre, and then the hill at the end of it. So to only be beaten 2.5 lengths under those circumstances against similar horses to what she's going to be running against at Ascot gives me pretty good confidence, because I just think there's got to be, at least that much improvement in her, in which case surely we're competitive at Ascot.
In our next Royal Ascot show, out soon, fellow Aussie Ron Hutchinson, now 96 years old, is back on the paddock and the pavilion to talk about his win in the Ascot Gold Cup 50 years ago. Ron is once again on great form. Here's a short clip.
I enjoy it immensely, and I'm looking forward to this year coming along, and Royal Ascot time and Royal Ascot Gold Cup. Yes, it brings back a lot of memories, a lot of lovely memories too.
Now it's back to Henry to hear his thoughts on Tuesday's race. Moving on then to the King Charles III Stakes. We must get that right now because it used to be the King Stand Stakes. It's a race that Aussies have won on 5 occasions, the last time in 2022 with Nature Strip.
Yeah, and that's a real honour roll of Australian winners that are champion Group 1 horses, and they'd be champion Group 1 sprinters anywhere in the world. And to be, devil's advocate, I suppose, we're probably not that level of horse in Australia. We're just below that very top level. But in our own conditions over 1,000 metres, we're probably somewhere not too far off. But it's all relative to what you're racing against. And while those horses came over and were a really good level of horse and able to win, they were probably racing a slightly stronger level of sprinter than what is around in the 5 furlong ranks at the moment. It is very even, seemingly, and we sort of knew that before we came. We had a horse in Australia called Imperatriz that kept beating us, who's a very, very, very good mare who's now retired. And we probably wanted to get away from her, but also there just wasn't any races for us to run in anyway, so we came over. But look, I just think that the 5 furlong horses over here at the moment, they've had 3 or 4 lead-up runs in those races. They've been a bunch finish each time. There's been a different winner each time. Big Evs is clearly the standout off what he did last preparation and first up this preparation. He's got that different form line, but ostensibly most of them have been going around against each other a little bit, and they're pretty even lot. So that gives me confidence that we're sort of in the hunt somewhere.
And going wise, how will she go there?
I reckon it's gearing up pretty perfectly. I'd love it to be good or just slightly on the softer side of good. Haydock was a genuine soft track and pretty wet, and it made it hard for her. But she loves a bit of cutting the ground. But she just likes being able to get a toe in. She doesn't like it too wet. So I think if we get those showers that are forecast, if there was 12 or 14 mils over the next few days, it'd just irrigate it nicely without needing to water, and it'd be a nice, even, good track.
You've changed jockeys. Was that always the intention to get local knowledge?
Yeah, definitely. I was very keen to have Mitch, who's our rider in Australia, come over and ride the mare, more so just in the lead up to the race, just to get a feel for how he thought she was going. He knows her better than anyone. He's ridden her in most of her starts, and it was a good experience for Mitch too. Mitch is a younger rider. He hasn't travelled much, and just getting here and seeing how things work, and just getting to the race at Haydock and having a chance in a big Group 2 race. It was a big thing for him. It was a great experience, but the plan was always to sort of lock someone in for the balance of the preparation. And Sheen, didn't have a ride, and he's one of your leading riders, and he fitted the bill perfectly.
Will she have plenty of support on Tuesday?
There's no doubt about that. We're bringing a huge contingent over. So Mr. El Fakri owns the horse. He's got a stud called Nora Lane Farm in Australia, and it's only a smaller sort of stud with a small broodmare band, but he's bringing some of his family over. I think there's 5 or 6 in his crew. And then I've got about another 35 or 40 in our crew, which is just a mix of other owners in the stable who wouldn't, probably won't get the chance to have a run at Royal Ascot, but would cut their leg off to do so, and just try and get them part of the experience and share it around a bit. Because while, Akram is an amazing owner and one of my favourite owners and bigger owners, it's a bit of a shame there's only, him and his family and the horse. It'd be great if it was one of those horses that had, 20 owners and there were so many people that could enjoy it, because it's a once in a lifetime experience, and I just try and share it around a bit and get a good crew here. And Ascot's been amazing with the hospitality. We're going to go to races Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and stay in London between times. And it is iconic, and it's at the end of the day, racing is a sort of experiential sport, and if you can combine a bit of travel with the horse, it's amazing.
And the horse is planning to stay on.
Oh yeah, that's always been the plan. We said that we're just limited for options at home. If she wasn't here, she'd be standing in a paddock. So we thought we'd take the plunge. There's a good series of races for her. Haydock was the warm-up. Ascot's the target now. We're 6 weeks to the King George, which then becomes the warm-up for the Nunthorpe at Haydock at York. So there's 4 races there, and if you've still got a horse at the end of that, you can think about France for the Abbaye, or you can go to Ireland for the Flying Five. They're 2 good Group 1 options, and her record's really, really good, but she hasn't got a Group 1 win next to her name. So that's what this trip's about, trying to get that Group 1.
Will you be going back sometime during that period?
Yeah, I've been back and forth already. I just came over a few days before Haydock and watched her race and went home that night. And then I'll stay for Tuesday and the rest of Royal Ascot week, because why wouldn't you? And then I'll come back a week before Goodwood and do the same.
But you've got the top hat and tails all ready for Tuesday?
I am ready, Stephen. You wouldn't believe how good I look in my top and tails.
Well, that should look good on Tuesday, and the very best of luck, Henry, for the King Charles III Stakes on Tuesday. And thank you very much for being on the show.
Terrific. Thanks for having me, Stephen.
This episode is brought to you in collaboration with Great British Racing International. If anyone is interested in finding out more about buying, owning, or breeding in Britain, please visit www.greatbritishracing.international.com.
Sports Social Podcast Network.